The video today is all about two types of deductive reasoning. The first one is called the law of detachment. This is one type of deductive reasoning, and here's what it says. It says if P implies Q is a true conditional statement and P is true, then you can use the law of detachment to determine that Q also must be true. So let's do an example together. It says, given that if you go to RB, then you are off school on Monday. What can you conclude about Molly, a Roger Bacon student? So this hypothesis says if you go to Roger Bacon. So the hypothesis, remember, we don't include if, so it's actually just you go to Roger Bacon. The conclusion, you are off school on Monday. So this is P implies Q. And we have this other statement, Molly is a Roger Bacon student. This applies to the hypothesis. Molly goes to Roger Bacon. Then we can conclude that this statement applies to her, so we can conclude Molly was off school on Monday. So we're basically taking a statement and applying it to one certain condition. A general statement and applying it to a condition. This one says, determine whether each conclusion is valid or not based on the given information. If it's not valid, write invalid and explain your reasoning. We're given that if two angles form a linear pair, then their non-common sides are opposite rays. This says angle AED and angle AEB form a linear pair. This applies to the hypothesis. It's a specific case of the hypothesis, so we know we can apply the conclusion to it. In order to apply this conclusion, we should probably draw a picture. The conclusion given says ray ED and ray EB are opposite rays. Let's draw a picture and make sure that looks correct. So we have angle AED and angle AEB forming a linear pair. And on this diagram, we see that ray ED and ray EB are opposite rays. So this is a valid conclusion, and it's valid based off of the law of detachment. So what we would say is that this is a valid conclusion by the law of detachment. Let's try another. This says, if Micah goes to the beach, she will wear sunscreen. So identify the hypothesis and the conclusion. Hypothesis is Micah goes to the beach. The conclusion is she will wear sunscreen. So this statement says Micah is wearing sunscreen. This actually applies to the conclusion. So it says the conclusion is Micah is at the beach. However, if the statement says that Micah is wearing sunscreen, that doesn't mean we can conclude that Micah's at the beach, because that's using the conditional backwards. So on this one, there is no valid conclusion. Pause the video and try the practice problems below on your own first. Here are the answers. Let's now talk about the law of syllogism. This is another type of deductive reasoning, and it says that if P implies Q and Q implies R are both true conditional statements, then we can basically skip over the middle part, the middle statement, Q, and we can go directly from P to R. So we can conclude that P implies R. Let me show you an example of this. So we have, given that if the Bengals score more than the other team, then they will win the game. Also, if they win the game, then the fans will be excited. So we have P implies Q, and we have Q matches up here, implies R. So we know that by the law of syllogism, we can go directly from statement P, the Bengals score more than the other team, to statement R, the fans will be excited. And you'll write this in an if-then statement. So it should say, if the Bengals score more than the other team, then the fans will be excited. That's your answer. Alright, try this multiple choice question. This is your question for the day. It says, determine which statement follows logically from the given statement. Statement 1, if you like musicals, then you enjoy theater productions. Statement 2, if you're an actor, then you enjoy theater productions. Which statement can you conclude, A, B, C, or D? Also, I'd like you to reflect on this question tonight. Explain the difference between two statements that you can apply the law of detachment and two statements that you can apply the law of syllogism. There are some minor differences where you can really tell which law will apply. See if you can figure that out. Thanks, everyone.